for background information, we're going to be running the Japanese version. Specifically, this is the 2-player Japanese version. And there's specific reasons why we're using that version as opposed to the American version, which a lot more people are familiar with. But we'll get to those once they get started here. Go ahead and start her up. Make a quick change here on my thing. And we're going to be picking Marge at 3, 2, 1, go.
Marge!
So Marge is going to be the best character. Has absolutely the best neutral. She has a really good jump slash and a very, very good melee attack. We'll show here. Here's her melee. Her jump slash, which shows the booty. Kills all basic enemies in one hit. It's very, very strong. So here's one of the reasons we run the Japanese version. We have access to a lot more sub-weapons. As you just saw there, we had that mini nuke that we just dropped on all those enemies there. Clears the entire screen. I don't think we're actually going to see another one through the rest of the run, but it's cool to be able to show off even just once. Speaking of sub-weapons, this you won't find in the American version. This broom hiding here in this tree. Feel free to keep trying to hit it how I just did. If you're playing the American version or American arcade cabinet, you will not find that. So for our first boss with our broom, we're gonna, with good RNG, we should be able to 3-cycle him. Splash is never what you want to see. Still managed to finish him a decent amount of time though. Why does the Japanese version have more weapons? I think they just removed them for the American version. I guess they wanted to make it harder so they could take your money. Just a guess, but it seems like a correct one. First mini game, nothing special here, just mash the buttons. Okay, not a great time, but I can work with it. The other thing about sub-weapons in this game is you actually get additional moves out of them. As you saw me doing there with the broom, you actually have a dive move you can do with it. And that also pertains to another weapon we've seen here shortly in the hammer. A lot of people will remember the hammer from this particular level, but there's an attack we're going to use that a lot of people aren't probably familiar with if they haven't played this version. Alright, while I take care of this clan of miscreants here. Alright, so now we have the hammer. Another insanely busted weapon. Probably the best in the game. We have this move we can execute, which is just a dive. Very, very strong. Comes in incredibly quickly, has a ton of priority, does a lot of damage. Alright, teacups are annoying. Okay. As you can see, anything I fall on is going to die from this. It's like anywhere from like 3 to 4 damage, and it just kills any basic enemy it gets its hands on. Including that guy who wanted to throw his hat. Put his hat in the ring, I suppose. Drop. Let the bear get loose. That's actually a plot point, which we'll see here in a few levels. Spoilers. The fake Krusties really aren't that much of a threat. They have a bouncing attack they can do, which isn't very good. The rabbits, however, are actually a threat. They have really, really good melee that they can use. So I try to make sure they're as inefficient as possible by killing them as quickly as possible. I forgot about this guy. Take the burger. Moving on to our second boss. Here we have the Krusty Balloon. I don't believe this works with the hammer in the US version, but with the Japanese version, we'll be able to kill him in 8 hits. There we go. Well, that's exactly what I was saying earlier. They're incredibly overpowered, and I think for US arcades, Konami America decided to just make the game more difficult because, you know, more money. Cool, we got the fall cancel there. So here we have the cemetery. This, you wouldn't know from looking at it, but this definitely is one of the hardest levels in the game. Primarily this section. The enemy groupings aren't that terrible. The real problem is the fact that you really don't have that much space to fight them in. Top to bottom, this is, I think, the smallest stage of the game. Drop that on that guy. I think they'll actually kill him. That was neat. New enemy. We got these umbrella guys. These guys are actually a problem. That charge they do, where they hold the umbrella in front of them, is completely invincible. You can't actually interrupt them if they are initiating that attack on you. just as I pointed out. There was no way I could hit that guy out of that. New sub-weapon, we have a slingshot. This is actually the worst sub-weapon, even though it is still really strong. Has great range, as you can see, it just throws fireballs. Kills anything in one hit. The reason it's less great than the others is just because it has finite uses. Like, you can only use it a certain number of times. I missed that. They teleport 6 times and it's awful. Anyway, we had enough shots to be able to get us to the second phase of the stage. This will take us to the elevator, because it's a beat 'em up and you have to have an elevator. This is actually a new strat I've been using. I didn't start using this until I started practicing to 1cc the game, like hardest difficulty 1cc. And the goal there was just to spawn as few enemies as possible, just so I wouldn't have to deal with as many enemies. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to dive around the platform, make them chase me. And the reason we do this is because if we keep killing enemies, all we do is spawn more enemies. So why would we do that? Why not just leave the enemies on screen and have them dirtle about like we're doing right now? We have a visual cue for when we stop. There's a really big gap on the right side that appears. Once we get a little bit more than halfway down that, then we can start. There we go. Just like so. Okay. Really wanted that extra health over there. Onto our boss. This is the first boss we have to fight without a sub-weapon. Good thing is they have low health. They also do this thing where they assemble Voltron and you can hit them both at the same time, which is awesome. That sucks. That's unfortunate. Big guy pretty much always goes down first. I've never done this fight and have him not be the first to die. He's getting a hit. Whew. Took a little longer than I would have liked, but when he backdashes like that, he's invincible and it's annoying. Moving on to stage 4, another fairly difficult stage just because of how much you can catch me off guard. We have a lot more space to fight enemies, but the enemies are also a bit more difficult and they're a bit more spaced out. With tougher enemy groups in general. Nice deflection of the hat. I didn't even mean to do that. Come on. Of course, we're going to see a lot more booty. Hit Barney, just get him out of our way. I just don't want him on screen because he's another sprite. He's very distracting. Back to the broom. We're going to be making very extensive use of this here, just like we did in the first level near the end. We just get to have it longer here, which is great. Oh yeah, this is the swankiest Moe's Tavern ever. Like, you've never seen Moe's Tavern this swanky. Where's the dance animation? Where are we at, March? Oh, it doesn't have it if I have the broom. No big deal. If you don't have a weapon, then it'll show a dance animation once you're standing next to Bleeding Gums Murphy. One of my favorite Easter eggs in the game. That works with any character. I'm here. Okay. That guy's invincible. Okay, let's go. Move over this way. This boss is actually kind of annoying. You can loop him perfectly, but it is kind of tough. If you're even a little late on the dive, he can punch you out of it. Or even a little early, like so. Perfect example. I tend to want to jump as soon as I see him getting up, because that gives just the proper amount of time to be able to hit him. Plus side is that works even without the broom. You can just do jump slashes. It's just a lot harder to space properly because you have to get out of his way and then get back in there once it's going to happen. On to probably my favorite stage with my least favorite boss, outside of the final stage. There's our retcon. There we have a bear chasing Smithers. Maggie gets away. Also probably my favorite song in the game too. I love this song. Oh, that was rude. Slide is pretty awful. Like, it's so hard to deal with. You can't hit enemies out of it if they decide to do it. It's a low hitbox and you have nothing that hits that low. That was actually kind of sick. I've never done that before. I'll let that spawn so I can get some health if I decide I need it. It also lets me use that hive as a weapon. I'm going to steal the health. Emergency health. I definitely don't want to take a death in this stage. Line these guys up, just like so. Okay, here we actually have 2 sub-weapons. We'll make use of the slingshot first, as you can see. We won't have this one very long. Long enough to be able to get us to the end sequence, like so. move right on over here and steal his health. Got another guy spawning in from the left. This guy. Shoutouts to Makina Azul for this one. He discovered that broom just sitting right by that bear cub. You can just do a standard attack and it'll pop it out. So here you have one of the harder bosses. It's the bear. Reason he's hard, he doesn't necessarily have overpowered attacks or anything, but he has these boulders that fall, and where they fall is completely random. When you knock him down, you get two, not only random intervals, but random points on the screen, which you can see on the y-axis. Sorry, x-axis is going left and right. But you can loop him with just 2 hits every single time and avoid hits, you're good to go. The RNG there was a little off, especially there at the end. Had to get a couple late hits in that weren't great, but still managed to make decent work of him. So this stage is interesting. In my youth, this was actually a total gatekeeper stage. The really messed up thing about it is the fact that nothing in the game prior to this prepares you for this stage, because all the enemies in this stage are completely unique. You never see them before this, you never see them after this. First example being these donuts. Let's take this. I was hoping to get both. Move right past these guys. Next we're going to have these saxophones. You can quick kill these guys with 2 jump slashes. If you're good. There you go. Ah, that guy's trolling me. Okay. They can sometimes go off screen. You really can't do much to stop that. It's really annoying. Gonna start throwing letters at these guys. Power plant guys really aren't that bad. If you knock their head off and they're still alive, they are going to have iframes, so you have to time those out. Pretty quick work there. On to, in my opinion, the hardest enemies in the level, these devils. 1, they have a lot of health. 2, they have a really horrible attack. They can do a lot of damage if you're not careful, and they can chain you, especially if there's multiples of them available. That guy wasn't playing ball. Had to take care of him that way. Steal his bowling ball out of the mailbox. Speaking of bowling balls, get as much damage on this guy as I can. Move out of the way. This boss comes in 4 forms. First form you saw there where he just rolls around. This to me is the hardest form where he grows the rubber arms. This jumping around nonsense is just so dumb. Like, you can't stop him from doing this. You can only hope to make sure you can take as little damage as possible and hit him when he hits the ground. Like he's doing now. The third form is going to shoot a missile at us, which hopefully won't hit us. Okay, we managed to kill him before the missile could spawn directly on us, so that's great. On to the final form. This form is pretty simple. Just grows an extended arm. Really easy to avoid. Just stay behind him like I'm doing right now. He's playing dirty. Yep. Not a big deal, though. We made pretty quick work of him. Pretty good fight there. One of my better fights I've had since I started de-rusting this game. So take us out of the dream sequence. Onto our second minigame. There's really nothing special about these minigames. If you want to go faster in them, just get good at mashing, like I'm not, because I'm definitely not good at mashing. World record holder on easy has, I think you can finish these at like the 6 or 7 mark. I'm around like the 4s. Yeah, 470. Yeah, that sounds about right. Maggie most definitely had a power drill as a toy. It was great. Alright, on to Channel 6. Another one of my favorite stages. But this stage really just... it's almost like they make it easy for you in certain regards, because you get sub-weapons right away, and as long as you're decent enough, you're not going to lose them. Look at this. We get a hammer right at the start of the stage. That's just as an example. If we lose that, there's a broom halfway through the stage that we can use. I prefer to keep the hammer. I think it has better control aspects, but I'll never be unhappy with a broom. If it comes to that. These guys are jumping around like idiots. What the heck? Oh my god, this is bad. I gotta take care of these guys. They're playing hardball right now. I also didn't get another health up. That's not good. So here we have this robot. Here in just a moment. There we go. You only need to hit this guy 3 times. Just make sure you cycle him correctly. Dodge the laser, jump, dive. You're good. You also get his head as a companion piece. You can use it as a weapon. You can't use it as a melee weapon, but you can use it. Just a throwing weapon. Remember these guys. This is also the last time we're going to see any of the suits. I think this one. Nice pink guy is gonna be the last one. Get some emergency help because I really don't want to lose this weapon on the boss. Here we have some new enemies that are most certainly not foot soldiers, so this is not a Konami beat 'em up. No way, no sir. You say so. I'm having a blast. I don't know about you. Okay, so that one acts weird sometimes. Sometimes if it spawns right on the ninja star, you can't pick it up. Because the game registers you try to pick up the ninja star, but you have a weapon, so you can't do that. It's almost like you have to catch it before it gets there. It's really messed up. Weird. It makes no sense. Anyway, here's our boss. I tend to spawn those enemies pretty early so I can get him to show up. Because we can just make sure we take care of all those guys first. Here we have another dive kick loop boss. Just got him with 3 dives consecutively. I'm on the floor. After 3 loops, he summons a ninja that we can make quick work of. Alright, that was actually a really good fight. Without a sub-weapon, that boss is incredibly hard. I will warn of that. He's one of the reasons I definitely prefer to run the Japanese version, because you don't get to have good sub-weapons in the American version. Anyway, on to our last stage. These last 2 bosses are the same no matter how you're playing this game. First we have Smithers. Not at all a fun boss fight. Not gonna lie. You pretty much have to catch him whenever you can with these jump slashes, like so. You can loop him like this. It's really hard to maintain it because he's an incredibly slippery boss. He also has that cape move, which is completely invincible. You have to wait it out in case he does it. And sometimes he just does it instantaneously like that. Which is garbage. Okay, he's gonna do this. That's a combo, by the way. I discovered that actually right before this. If he capes you into a bomb, you can't avoid that. Pretty friggin' cheap. Alright, we got him. He definitely gave us some trouble at a couple points, but overall not a bad boss fight. Collect as much health as I can for this burn fight. Alright, burns comes down to one particular thing. You need to be able to stun lock him with your melee attack. So the goal here is I want to see if I can manipulate him to walk his way, that sucks, walk his way down to the bookcase. He is being a tool right now. Can you go? Okay. This is a good spot to be in. I didn't like getting knocked down, but this is where we want to be, for sure.
Where do you think?
So from here, you just kind of wail away. This is actually really hard to do, and it's very rhythmic. If you're even a little bit off rhythm, he can hit you out of this, and he will too. Let's see if I can maintain it. I'm going to maintain a bit of quiet here. That sucks. Thought I had it too. He might get out of this. Yep. Oh. Man, he is all about that hit. He throws bombs, he's invincible. Like, I can't do anything about that. Well, not a perfect boss fight, but it was still a 1cc. And such a weird time. Like, when Maggie lands on burns is when time is called. So 1835, not a bad run. The best runs for each given low category are all sub 18, so I took some time getting some extra health up, so I definitely don't mind that time for a marathon run. Does the sunlock work only with Marge? No, I've gotten it to work with the other characters, it's just a lot harder. Their attacks just aren't as good. You can still do it. I've grinded the boss fight with every character, so it is possible. Marge just happens to be the best at it. I think Lisa's probably the worst, but she can still do it. Anyway, thank you so much for the GGs, everybody. Definitely enjoyed that run. I was glad I was able to, even though that wasn't even close to a PB, I'm glad I was able to 1cc it. Finishing on only 1 credit with only 1 death is pretty awesome. And that's going to do it for me this morning. Looks like we've got the awesome Ultima block coming up here shortly with the amazing Yogi the Monk playing Ultima 3 through 5. Guys, do be sure to have a great rest of the marathon. I'm going to go get some sleep because I just got home from work right before this run. So you guys have an awesome rest of your Friday, and I will catch you on the flip. Take it easy.